Hello, and welcome to our video on designing for large enrollment online classes. In this video, we'll focus on designing teaching and learning activities and assessments that balance creating online community and student engagement in the course with instructor time and presence. Although we don't specifically mention the role of teaching assistants in this video, if you work with teaching assistants in your course, consider how they can support the strategic design and teaching suggestions that we make throughout this video. The number of TAs working within your course may change the type of activities and assessments you choose to include in the course. In this series of videos, we're assuming you have a course already and you're looking to put it rapidly online. In this video, we'll look at the challenges to student engagement and instructor presence that occur when designing for large enrollment online courses, and then we'll examine strategies for designing and facilitating the assessments and activities in such classes. These strategies will enable the online instructor to still feel present to students and for learning activities and assessments to support student engagement and interaction. Research on online learning indicates that student learning is more meaningful, effective, and long-lasting when students are active participants in their learning and they feel a sense of connection with the instructor and other students in the class. That is, when the more passive forms of learning, such as reading, listening, and viewing, are complemented with active learning and assessments that enable the students to explore, apply, and build on newly introduced knowledge, skills, and values, both individually and with their peers. This is reflected in the community of inquiry framework that combines teaching, social, and cognitive presence. In smaller enrollment classes, instructors are able to have more one-on-one interaction with individual students and to spend more time with individual students to guide them through engaging activities and to evaluate individual assessments. And socially, students may find it easier to get to know each other in smaller groups. However, as we add more students to a course, the instructor-to-student ratio shifts, and students might begin to feel lost in the crowd. How then do we balance active learning activities and meaningful assessment of learning outcomes with instructor time capacity when designing for an online course, while still creating a sense of social presence? We've organized our strategies for designing and facilitating assessment activities in large enrollment classes into 3 categories: answering questions about assignments and activities, the learning activities, and the course assessments. Research indicates that one of the most time-consuming aspects of teaching a large enrollment online course is responding to student questions. Fortunately, there are several design choices you can make in an online course that reduce student questions through effectively communicating course expectations and consistent, thoughtful course organization. This becomes even more important when designing and teaching for a large course. You can watch our videos on these topics in our course design pathways, and we've linked to them below this video. Create an orientation video for your course that includes information on how students should navigate the course and how they should contact you with any questions. Tell students how you plan to communicate with them and use that method consistently so they know where to look for information. Try creating a course FAQ that addresses common concerns and directs students to them when they have relevant questions. You can also develop a system to collect and respond to students' questions as a group rather than individually. One OWL tool that is particularly good for this task is the discussion forums. By having students post their questions here, you can redirect any related student questions that you're contacted with via email or new forum posts back to your original answer to the first poster. In fact, you can ask students to monitor the question forum and answer each other's questions if they know the answer. Then you can post any clarifying information as necessary. Provide a place each week for students to share their muddiest point at the end of the week, module, or mini lesson. These are elements that students need further clarity on, and you can extract themes and create an informal video each week that clarifies the key areas of where students have questions. Students can post in a dedicated forum, or they could use the question tool in OWL to submit their muddiest points. Finally, give students low-stake opportunities to practice using the tools in your course before they need to use them. For example, they can complete a self-assessment quiz or a quiz about the content of the course syllabus or the orientation video to see how the OWL quizzes and test tool works before they actually have to use it for higher stakes assessment. For learning activities in your large enrollment course, try to establish a pattern each week or in the lesson early in the course and repeat it for the term. This creates a course rhythm that makes it easier for students to know what is expected of them each week. For example, if you're using discussion forums, have students make their posts on the same day each week or module. For the lesson design perspective, your lessons can have a consistent structure, such as the BOPS lesson structure linked below this video. While you want to create a variety of teaching and learning activities in your course, don't go overboard. Having students try a new type of activity every week can be overwhelming, and it takes a lot of time for them to learn it, which will result in questions for you. Choose several types of activities that align with your course learning outcomes and repeat them throughout the course. Use the groups feature in OWL to break large classes into smaller groups for better student and instructor interaction. This is the equivalent of tutorial groups or breakout groups in the face-to-face class. In OWL, you can use the groups feature to have students participate in smaller discussion forums, answer quizzes, submit assignments, or even see specific course content such as collaborative documents by the group that they're assigned to. Encourage peer-to-peer interaction through discussion forums and other collaborative activities. You should make regular contributions to forums and collaborations, but don't feel like you need to read every post. Scan them for themes that you can comment in weekly videos and respond to specific posts where clarification, a thought-provoking question, or positive reinforcement would be particularly effective. Have students work in groups and rotate through different roles. For examples, in discussions, you could have students assigned 1 week as a poster or a responder or the summarizer of the discussion. And lastly, you can think about creating OWL polls, questions, or quizzes in your course that allow students to immediately see how others are reacting to the course content. For assessment strategies in your large enrollment class, if students are creating content for an assessment, provide examples or exemplars of high-quality work. Streamline your feedback by using rubrics if they're applicable to the assessment. Sharing rubrics with students ahead of time also lets them know very clearly what is expected of them in order to demonstrate the course learning outcomes that are associated with the assignment. Streamline formative assessments by using the automated features in OWL that provide immediate student feedback. Tools such as polls and quizzes can allow students to self-assess, or it can allow them to complete low-stake assignments. They can give students immediate feedback on their progress, and they can even let students see how their responses compare to those of their peers. You can also add an automatic feedback response that explains to students why submitted answers are correct or incorrect, which reinforces their understanding of the assessed topic. Lastly, you can use the automated grading features and tools such as tests and quizzes to complete some of the grading in the course for you. For graded discussions and interactions, have students summarize and submit what they've learned from peer-to-peer interactions in place of you having to read every discussion or collaboration. Creating collaborative assignments or open book exams reduces the need for proctored exams, which can be time-consuming to set up, administer, and review. Consider using peer evaluation for students to have one round of feedback before it's time for you to assess their work. Connect assessment tools such as assignments and tests and quizzes to OWL Gradebook so that you don't have to enter grades in more than one place. And finally, wherever possible, aim to create asynchronous assessments. By creating asynchronous assessments, students are less likely to find themselves in high-stakes, high-stress assessment situations where technology failure might mean that the student is worried that they'll not be able to complete the assessment, and it will mean that you will not have to reschedule the assessment for another time. Although it can be difficult to balance engaging learning activities, meaningful assessments, and instructor and social presence in a larger online course, it can be done. Remember that in any online course, every choice you make contributes to your instructor presence in the course. Students may not have the regular one-on-one interaction with you and each other that they might have had in a smaller class, but there's still many ways that you can guide your students as they progress through the course learning activities and assessments while still feeling connected to you and with each other.